May 14th, 2008, 1:54 a.m. The final words of a young man echo across a dark Minnesota cornfield. Oh shit. Brandon Swanson was 19, a college student, no criminal history, no enemies, no warning signs, just gone. He'd been on the phone with his father for 47 minutes. He sounded lucid, calm, frustrated maybe, but not scared. And then, in an instant, he vanished. His car was found stuck in a ditch, miles from where he claimed to be. No footprints, no phone, no trace. This wasn't the wilderness. This was farm country, quiet roads, familiar towns. But whatever happened that night happened fast, and it left no answers. This is the Midnight Mystery Archive. I am Kevin. Tonight, we are looking at the disappearance of Brandon Swanson. Brandon Swanson was born in 1989, the first child of Brian and Annette Swanson. He grew up in Marshall, Minnesota, a classic Midwestern town, quiet and close-knit. He was described as kind, intelligent, and slightly reserved. He wore glasses, loved science, and was pursuing a career in wind energy technology, a growing field in rural Minnesota. That spring, he had just finished his first year at Minnesota West Community and Technical College in Canby. On the night of May 13th, Brandon attended a small get-together with classmates. According to witnesses, there was alcohol, but no one recalled Brandon appearing intoxicated. In fact, he reportedly left on his own, smiling, casually saying goodbye. He got into his green Chevy Lumina and started the 30-mile drive home to Marshall. It was a straight shot. Somewhere along the way, things went wrong. Brandon called his parents just before 2 a.m. His voice was calm. He said he had driven his car into a ditch. He wasn't hurt, just frustrated. He told them he believed he was near Lind, a small town only a few miles from their home. So, naturally, Brian and Annette got into their truck and headed to find him. But when they reached the area where Brandon said he was, there was nothing. No flashing lights, no sign of his car. Brandon insisted he could see town lights in the distance. He was sure he knew where he was. But he wasn't there. Brian stayed on the phone with him nearly 47 minutes. They tried to triangulate their locations, but the rural dark made everything more confusing. Brandon eventually said he'd walk toward the lights he could see and asked them to meet him there. He described walking along a gravel road. He mentioned fences, water, even a slight incline. His voice was steady, a little frustrated, but he never panicked. Then, out of nowhere, he interrupted himself. Oh shit. The call ended. His father called back. No answer. They kept trying, again and again. No more calls went through. Later that morning, police found Brandon's car, but not near Lind. It was located near Taunton, a small town over 25 miles northwest of where Brandon believed he was. That's not a small mistake. It means he was totally disoriented, and the place where the car was found made absolutely no sense. There were no signs of foul play, no blood, no broken glass, just an abandoned vehicle on the side of a dirt road. But where was Brandon? How had he gotten so turned around? And what made him cry out in alarm just before the line went dead? After Brandon's call dropped around 2 a.m., his parents kept trying to reach him. Repeated calls went to voicemail. They drove around for hours, headlights cutting through empty gravel roads and cornfields, but nothing. At 6:30 a.m., they contacted the Lind Police Department to report Brandon missing. The response? Officers told the Swansons that Brandon had a right to disappear, that it wasn't illegal for an adult to go off the grid. The suggestion was subtle but familiar. He probably just went off to cool off. He'll be back. It would take 24 hours before a formal search began. When Brandon's Chevy Lumina was located later that day, it wasn't near Lind as he believed. It was near Taunton, northwest of Marshall, over 20 miles off the route he thought he was taking. Investigators immediately faced a problem. Why did Brandon think he was near Lind when he was nowhere close? The tracking dogs were brought in. They picked up Brandon's scent near the car and followed it along a gravel road, through fields, and toward the Yellow Medicine River. There, the scent trail seemed to end, possibly at the water's edge. Divers were brought in, but nothing was found. This wasn't rugged wilderness. The area was flat, dotted with farmland and old fence lines. Visibility would have been decent even at night. Searchers walked hundreds of acres. Over 500 volunteers, horses, ATVs, and multiple canine units were deployed. But despite all of this, not a single item belonging to Brandon was found. No phone, no wallet, no shoes. It was as if he'd been swallowed whole by the night. If Brandon had been drinking, it might explain the navigational confusion. But friends say he wasn't impaired. And if he was confused, why did he sound so certain on the phone? Why did he confidently describe the lights of a town he wasn't actually near? Cell tower pings placed his call in the vicinity of Taunton, confirming he wasn't where he thought he was. But that also meant he was alive and walking for almost an hour after getting stuck. If he'd fallen, why no scream? If he'd drowned, why no splash? No answers. His parents began organizing regular searches. They walked fence lines, fields, farmsteads. They talked to farmers, posted flyers. Brandon's disappearance wasn't just a missing persons case. It was something much bigger and stranger. As with any case of a missing person, theories begin to arise. The most widely accepted theory in Brandon's case is probably the simplest. Brandon accidentally fell into the Yellow Medicine River or a drainage ditch and either drowned or died from injuries. The dogs had tracked his scent directly toward the river. The sudden exclamation, "Oh shit," could have been the moment he slipped in or tripped. The river was thoroughly searched. Divers found nothing. Not a scrap of clothing, not his phone, not a wallet. If he drowned, his body should have surfaced, especially given the time of year. The river was shallow in places, slow moving. This isn't the Mississippi by any means. Others believe Brandon may have been struck by a passing vehicle or picked up by someone with bad intentions. While unlikely, it's not impossible. The area was rural, yes, but farm equipment and the late-night truckers do use these roads. Could a driver have panicked and hidden his body? Could Brandon have accepted a ride from someone who meant him harm? There were no reports of a hit and run, no broken headlights, no blood at the scene. But it is Minnesota. Accidents on the back roads can disappear quickly in rain. There's a third theory, subtle but powerful, that Brandon suffered from a brief episode of confusion or even transient amnesia. We know he was disoriented about his location. He was nowhere near Lind, as he insisted. Could he have suffered a psychological break brought on by stress, exhaustion, or a minor head injury during the drive off the road? Hypothermia is another theory. The night was cool, in the low 40s. As the body loses heat, confusion can set in, and decisions often become irrational. But again, there's no evidence, No body, nothing. A less popular but occasionally raised theory is the idea that Brandon wanted to disappear. But there's simply no supporting evidence. He was close to his parents. He was planning his next semester of school. He had no known financial problems, mental health red flags, or really any reason to run. And if you were trying to vanish, it seems hard to believe that a good idea would be to call your parents at 2 a.m. for help. And then there's the hardest theory to articulate, the one we all try to push away, that something unknown or something strange happened. Brandon's case has drawn comparisons to the missing 411 theories, which explore the eerie disappearances of people in remote areas under odd circumstances. This was odd. Middle of nowhere, farmland, all of a sudden his call ends, and there's silence after. Whatever happened to Brandon happened fast. And if we take the timeline seriously, it happened immediately after he uttered the words, "Oh shit." After the search teams left, Brandon's parents didn't. Brian and Annette Swanson kept walking the fields. They returned again and again to the roads near Taunton, pacing out possible paths Brandon could have taken. Annette has said, "I believe Brandon is still out there somewhere. I just don't know where." That hope, however slim, is ultimately what keeps him going. The area around the Yellow Medicine River has been searched dozens of times. Cadaver dogs, private investigators, the far too common psychic trying to latch on to a mysterious case. And every year, new volunteers come forward to assist. But each search ends the same way, with nothing. No remains, no clues, and most of all, no Brandon. Perhaps the most lasting legacy of Brandon's disappearance is Brandon's Law, passed in Minnesota in 2009. The law requires law enforcement to immediately file a missing persons report for anyone under 21 or anyone missing under suspicious circumstances, regardless of age. It was a direct result of the Swanson family's experience, the initial hesitation by police to act quickly, which ultimately cost precious time. The law has since become a model for other states looking to reform outdated missing persons procedures. Brandon's story continues to echo in the broader true crime world. Podcasts like this one, Reddit threads, documentaries, and YouTube channels have all covered the case, and many return to one central question. How does a person vanish in real time, mid-conversation, and leave nothing behind? We're not talking the Appalachian wilderness here. This was farmland, country roads, and empty fields. The phrase Brandon left his father with, "Oh shit," has become iconic in the worst possible way. A moment frozen in time, and a memory likely seared into the brain of his father. A final sentence without a follow-up. His voice was never heard again, but his story still lingers. If you have any information about Brandon's disappearance, you can contact the Lyon County Sheriff's Office at 507-537-7666. Anonymous tips are accepted. This has been the Midnight Mystery Archive. I am Kevin, and tonight we have delved into the disappearance of Brandon Swanson. Reminder, new episodes drop every Tuesday and Friday. You can follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. Until next time.